My fellow Americans. Whoops, sorry, the wrong program. Anyway, this is the Cow Report, and we are coming to you live from the beautiful downtown Ellie Phillips Memorial Library in beautiful downtown Eau Claire, Wisconsin, along the rampaging and overflowing, almost, river. The Eau Claire River is high right now, and so is the Chippewa River, in case you haven't noticed. And if you're looking at the set here, there's something different. My trusty sidekick, Fred Stafford's seat is empty. Now, he's frantically trying to find his way back from Fall Creek, Wisconsin. Hopefully he'll be able to get here before the end of the show. But boy, oh boy, do we have a lot to talk about as usual. And this is Monday evening, 9 p.m., and so switch over and watch the show, and don't worry about that football game over there. You can read about it tomorrow's paper. And as usual, there is a lot to talk about. And tonight, you're going to be the audience as far as answering the question of the day on what happened on this date in history. Today's date is September 19th, and we usually go from the 18th till the 22nd, 23rd, or roughly about a week either side of today's date. And so, the number, we're going to have plenty of opportunities to call in tonight because I'm starting the show by myself. So the number for call-ins is 839-5067. If you'd like to make a call in, and we'll take your calls on any questions tonight, anything to do with the fizzled invasion of Haiti, or the most recent primary election, or anything of interest that you would like to talk about. Government waste, campaign financing, term limits, whatever you think you'd like to talk about tonight. So, tonight's question is, on this date, which would be in September 19th, the year was 1928. There was a cartoon character that made his first public appearance. 1928, September 19th, in a movie called Steamboat Willie. Who was that cartoon character? And I guess we have a call on line one, so we'll see if this caller has the proper answer. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Oh, I had a question. I didn't realize this was a quiz show tonight.
Yes.
What was the question?
September 19th, 1928.
Are we talking about the first Mickey Mouse?
That's it.
Okay.
You're the winner, and you have won a free bottle of Flavin' Pop, and the Flavin' Pop bottle is being polished, so it's not on the set tonight, and being refurbished for our grand opening of the fall season. Unfortunately, Fred is not here, so we can't start the fall season until the other half of the dynamic duo is here. You know,
You expect him yet tonight?
Fred's been with me, what now, 20, 25 years on the program?
27 years all told.
Okay, thank you. I knew it was somewhere up in that neighborhood, almost since the beginning of television. But anyway.
You expect him tonight?
Yes.
Oh,
I
good.
think he's frantically driving back through a driving rainstorm from Fall Creek to get here, so hopefully he'll make it before the end of the show tonight. So, caller, you are the winner, and we'll get your name off camera after the program, and we can send you that bottle of Flavin' Pop from the wonderful world of Flavin.
Good.
Have you ever drank any of that?
Oh, absolutely. It's got to be the premium.
Now, where did you find your bottle at?
Right out at one of the local grocery stores.
Good. I'm glad to see that they're finally making it. You know, for a long time, they were the only place you could buy it was at gas stations, funeral homes, and flea markets.
Oh, I think it's really gotten to be everywhere.
Yep. Okay, caller. Well, what's the
Well,
question?
now that the primary is over, do you suppose you could assess the general election coming up and those that have fallen to the wayside, what they're going to do, who they're going to endorse?
Yes.
Give us an idea of what'll happen come November with the remaining candidates.
Well, you know, sometimes I like to reverse it and ask the caller what they thought of it, and then I comment on their thoughts. So I think I'll reverse it with you there and get a little bit of a synopsis from you, because you are, your name is Trell?
That's right.
Yeah. And I want to get Trell's opinion, because you are one of the movers and shakers on the local political scene, and get a little bit of your flavor of what happened, and then I'll throw in my.
Well, should we start at the top with the Senate?
Sure.
U.S. Senate race?
Sure.
We can sure hope that Welch can pull it off.
Yes, Welch. You know, I'll just comment on these as you go along. So you're thinking Welch now will be the. He won the primary, so you're saying he'll probably be the one to beat Cole in the fall.
If anybody can, he can.
You know, it's too bad he didn't change his name before that started, though. You know, his slogan should have been, "I never welch on a bet."
Oh, okay. All right. I suppose we should pass the congressional race, since you're involved in that.
Well, that is a very serious race now that it's down to a three-way race between the Democrat, the Republican, and myself. And, you know, I just got in the mail Federal Elections Commission report on money that was spent by the candidates, and it was very interesting. Take, for example...
With us on the show?
Pardon?
Can you share that with us on tonight's show?
Sure, yes.
Good.
There was a representative, or Peter Bear, that ran from
Oh, yes, Peter Bear.
3M company over by Hudson. Got to looking, and probably can't see this, but anyway, this is just a printout. And this is a printout of PAC money, which isn't too long, but it's all basically out of state PAC money. But then when I went to the...
What was the total of the PACs?
Well, he's not one of the big PAC receivers. He only received about, I think, only $11,000 out of 102,000.
Oh, 102,000.
Yes.
Whoa.
So, and that was only up to August 24th. Now that's 3 weeks before the primary.
102,000 and only 11,000 in PAC money.
Yes, but the interesting thing was on the Bear candidacy was that here's the individual contributors. This printout here, just got it in the mail. It's all out-of-state people. Bear was not a candidate of the people of Wisconsin. Something like 73,000 of the 74,000 individual contributions were out of state. Only a little over $1,000 came from inside the state. The other.
So anybody that could influence Bear wouldn't have been from Wisconsin.
And it was all out-of-state money.
Interesting. Very interesting.
It was all Bear out-of-state money there.
Looks like quite a list.
From all over the country: Concord, New Hampshire, Naperville, Illinois, New York University, Minnesota, Ohio. You know, it's interesting. It could be from 3M people around the country, or no telling where a lot of this comes from, but it's really interesting. Virginia, New Hampshire, Texas, Maryland, but nothing from Wisconsin. Just a couple small donations from Wisconsin.
Gee, I don't remember reading an article that focused on that from our local.
I was in a debate down in La Crosse where one of the other candidates tried to bring that up, but you know, then I brought up the issue of political action money, and all the other Democrats shut up, and they didn't want to talk because they all like PAC money. And in my campaign, I'm not accepting any PAC money. I believe it's legalized bribery. So that's in the 3rd district race, and the other candidate that came through was Harvey Stour. Now Harvey didn't take much PAC money, and most of his money is from in-state. But the other interesting candidate, money, is Representative Steve Gunderson. And his printout for PAC money is this piece here.
Whoa. What's the total on his PAC money?
This is all PAC money here. We're still going. PAC. Packing away here. PAC. All this is PAC money. It just keeps going. This list is nothing but, as far as I'm concerned, legalized bribes. Some of the interesting things. So this is the list. It goes.
You got about. See there?
That far. How'd you like to catch a fish that big? And PATFAR is all PAC money, but some of the interesting PAC money, which I thought was really interesting, is like the American Sugarcane League. Yeah, we got a lot of sugarcane up here in Wisconsin. Another one is the Associated General Contractors of North Dakota. Another one, here's a real interesting one. Cheese Importers Association of America. Cheese importers. You get that?
Yeah, gee, all of us cheeseheads from Wisconsin are supposed to export that.
Right. Another one was ELECT, the Political Action Committee of Alabama Farm Bureau Federation. A lot of outside interests have an interest in Wisconsin. Another one's the Florida Sugarcane League. How about, and then me personally, I kind of watch these ones on cigarettes and tobacco. G. Heilemann Brewing Company, Miller Brewing Company, National Beer Wholesalers Association, Philip Morris Companies, RJR Nabisco, that's the RJR Reynolds Nabisco, that's the cigarette conglomerate, and U.S. Tobacco Executives. Another one is Southwest Peanut Political Action Committee. That must have been the year back from the years when Carter was in the White House. And
have you got a total on the PAC money?
Yeah, PAC money. National Cotton Council. Boy, there's a lot of cotton growing in southern Wisconsin. You know, it gets pretty hot down there. Monsanto, the ones that have pushed the SBS, the RBST and RBGH. Take your choice on what you want to call it, but it's the only company that's allowed to sell it in the United States right now. They've spread their money around. Another important one is the Minnesota-Dakota Farmers Cooperative Political Action Committee. They have a lot of influence in Wisconsin. And then, according, in today's paper, the Leader Telegram had a small article about Steve Gunderson coming out of the closet, and an interview that's coming up in The Advocate. It's the leading gay magazine in the country, and in that article he spoke about a speech he gave at the Human Rights Campaign Fund Political Action Committee. Well, they happened to have given Steve $1,000 back in July of this year, or I guess June 30th. So he took a little bit of money from them too. But you asked a question about PAC money. PAC money, yes, PAC money. PAC money, $157,000. PAC money. Individual contributors, $120,000. So I would say Steve's up around about 60% PAC money fueling the fires of his campaign. That's even higher than it used to be.
Other candidates there you can share with us?
Well, I had Harvey Stour here. He's the other major player in this upcoming race here. And Harvey, non-party, that's what PAC money is, $3,500.
Oh.
Individual contributors, $67,000, roughly. So Harvey took very little PAC money and a lot of individual contributors, mostly from Wisconsin, a few from Minnesota. But Harvey's really liked up there and around Amory. And from the election results, it was something like 90% of that, 95% of the vote up there went to, in Harvey's home area, there went to him on the Democratic side. It was almost unbelievable. I've heard people say that that's the kind of votes you get out of those wards in Chicago, where even the cemeteries vote. But Harvey picked up almost 95% of the vote up in his home territory.
Any other congressional candidates there? What about yourself or Mr. Brill?
Nothing on Brill or myself. You have to have a threshold of $5,000, and then you have to make these reports.
I see.
As of August 24th, I hadn't went through that threshold, and I don't know if Brill had. Evidently, he hadn't as of that date. So,
how did the assembly races look?
Assembly races. Give me a hint of which ones you're talking.
68th, Laufenberg and Plombon.
Well, as usual, that's going to be another tough hand-to-hand combat, guerrilla warfare type race up there. Last time I was involved in that race in the spring of last year, it was a 171 vote difference. And it kind of reflects on Dave Zine, the first time he ran back in, I think it was 86, or yeah, 86. Dave lost, or was it 88? One of those times. Dave lost to 88, I guess it was. Lost by less than 200 votes. A lot of people said, hang it up, Dave, don't ever run again. You just can't make it. You're not acceptable to the party. Dave turned around and ran and won. Well, this time around, Laufenberg was told the same thing. Don't run. Just become the elder statesman of the party. Stay out of it. Well, Laufenberg came back here and just whipped the tar out of this upstart Dickinson from up north. And he's once again in the finals here. So it could be this time around that Laufenberg could carry it away because of the problems that Plombaum has had, personal family problems. And I'm sure that will be an issue in the race. Independent groups or individuals will probably try and fan that flame. But from what I understand, Laufenberg has made a pledge that he will not bring it up. But, you know, here we're bringing it up right here inadvertently, but it's just going to be one of those issues that'll be in the campaign and it'll be in the back of voters' minds. So I think Laufenberg will probably upset Plombaum in that race.
Good. In the Miller-Krybeck race, I should say Krybeck-Miller race?
You know, a lot of people are saying that's a shoe-in for Krybeck, but I don't think so. When I was in the Republican Party, worked against Sue Miller in several races, 2 Zine races, and also I helped the candidate that ran against her for the county board, and she can't be counted out. She's a tough campaigner. She helped Colleen Bates almost pull off an upset of Zine, and I wouldn't be counting her out of the race. Right now, it probably shows lopsided in Krybeck's favor, but if Krybeck lays back and thinks he's going to win this one easily, he better not do that, because he could wake up the next morning after the elections and be the loser. I think it's going to be tighter than what people think. This could be 51 to 49, one way or the other.
I see. You mentioned the county board race between Miller and was that the Bobby Mason?
Yeah, Bobby. Tough campaigner down there in the flats down around the, down the hill, from Plank Hill down in that area down there.
Oh, yeah, okay.
He was in there tooth and nail fighting every day of that campaign. At one time, he confided in me that he was working almost too hard.
Okay.
But
and the Zine Senate race? Have you got an assessment on that yet?
Zine versus Gordon.
Yep, Paul Gordon.
Gordon is a little more conservative than the last few people that have run against Dave Zine, and I know the campaign people that are involved in the Zine race, and it probably will be a Zine victory. He's got over the rough spots now in his career, and the attacks, the phony charges down in Augusta on standing up on a motorcycle, which even the state motorcycle handbook at that time said to raise off the seat a little bit when you go over railroad tracks. So that, even though he was found guilty in that case, it was precedent setting because it kind of changed the rules. And but it didn't hurt him. He won that tough campaign in '90 against Bates, and now he has stepped up with a special election last spring, which he actually wasn't last spring. It was.
Yes, it was.
It was?
Yeah.
I guess, and then right after that came the Laufenberg race. Yeah, they were both back to back there. He won that. Now he's consolidated that victory, and he's the chairman of a couple committees down in Madison, and it appears like he will be the going-away winner in that race, probably 55, 56 to 44%. I don't think Gordon can pull it off. He doesn't have enough support out of the Chippewa area, and that was what the loser of last year's race had a problem with. He couldn't even carry Chippewa because Dave is popular even in Chippewa, more popular in Chippewa County than he is in Eau Claire, and now he's added some more conservative areas to the district when he stepped up the Senate race, so it appears now that he will have a easy time of it in this fall race. And he does have an excellent campaign manager in Bob Seitz from down south.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Any other races you can think of to comment on for us?
Well, let's see here. Yeah, let's see here. Any other races here? I don't want to make a prediction in the race I'm involved in because it's going to be fairly close. And
Okay.
Gunnarson's revelations in today's paper could hurt him a little bit with the conservative Christian fundamentalist wing of the Republican Party. And there's a pro-life, what some people say is a pro-life socialist Democrat running.
A pro-life socialist Democrat? Does that mean he's pro-life but yet a big spending liberal?
That's what it
That
appears.
means?
That's what it appears, the label that they'll be trying to put on him, even though he's pro-life. And I know.
What are his voting habits?
Well, matter of fact, I'm going to be traveling to Madison here in a few days to start doing some background research, and I'm sure the Gunderson people are frantically looking at his past voting record. But what I've heard from other legislators and senators down in Madison, he does like to spend the money on social issues, and that could work against him with the conservatives. But on the other hand, it could be canceled out by the pro-life vote that he'll be receiving. So,
Well, most of the pro-life people have a tendency to be very, very conservative fiscally also. Is that not true?
yeah, they tend to be that way across the board. And but the pro-life Wisconsin group is in about 50,000 households statewide. I don't know the exact figure in the 3rd district, but we're in a large rural district, so it could have more effect than what some of the political analysts have said it would be. But I think it will be a factor in the race. Right now, I'm predicting that. Now this is only my personal opinion, but from what I've seen out there, I don't think Steve's going to have enough to pull it off. I'm not going to say who's going to win because it's going to be close. But
Interesting.
I don't-
Well, any other races you can comment on, or should we wait for your sidekick to get back in the saddle there?
where is Fred? It's 25 after. Fred, if you're at home watching, we got a program tonight. This is Monday night, September 19th. It's about 9:22 in the evening, Fred. If you're at home in your easy chair watching the program, better come on down to the studio here. I don't know. Whoa. I guess we lost that caller.
Please hang up and...
Thank you, caller. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Yes. I was wondering, what is the call report? What is it based on?
Well, I'm glad you asked that. And you know, I try to come prepared to these shows, and if I could find that little, here it is. Here's an article. You know what it says?
No, I can't see it.
Why not? It says, cows save farmer's life. He was trapped. He was trapped for 2 hours.
Are you, like, serious?
Yes, and the Derek
All right.
Jeff Severson's livelihood down in Foster during the big tornado down there. Jeff Severson was saved by his cows.
Dad, get off the phone! God damn it!
Shut up, Mom. You still there?
Hello? Well, hello.
Motherfucker,
Well, we lost those calls there. Somebody forgot that we were on the air, and we don't tolerate the swearing and stuff now with the caller ID in place now. We could turn your name over to the district attorney if you make threats over the phone or are too belligerent or things of that nature. We don't want to do that, so please keep your language proper English. We are in an English-speaking country, contrary to some people's beliefs. So we'll try another call here. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Hi, friend. This is Scott calling from Eau Claire. How are you?
Okay.
I have a prediction on the congressional election, and I want to tell you why. I think Stour is going to win 53 to 47. And I voted for Brill, and a lot of the conservatives in the Republican Party did. But I don't think we're going to. They're putting out a lot of propaganda that everybody's going to come over and vote for you. Well, I like you, Chuck, but I don't think you have a chance to win. I think a lot of us are going to go over and vote for Stour based on his strong pro-life stance. And my advice to Harvey Stour is don't campaign any further north than, let's say, Ray Whitehall to get in the southern part of the state. He did real poorly down there. And,
Yeah.
you know, he's well known up there. That might be good advice for your campaign, too.
Well,
But,
stay on the line a minute, caller, but you know something? This district is bigger than several states put together. I mean, you could start up by north of Rice Lake and drive and drive and drive all the way to Dubuque, Iowa, or you can start in Hudson and drive all the way past Neilsville to the east. Very, very big. And outside of La Crosse and Eau Claire, that's where...
All small towns. Biggest town down to the south is Platteville, and that's got 10,000 counting students.
Platteville, and that's about it down there. But on the other hand, though, Grant County is a large county population-wise. There's 71% of the voters are in 7 counties in this 3rd district. There's 17 counties or parts of counties represented. So most of the voters in 7 counties. So you don't want to rule out counties, but on the other hand, you have, with only about 49 days left, you have
Harvey doesn't need to go get votes up in north of Eau Claire. He's got them already.
Well, it appears that way, and around the Amory area, it was just almost a total, almost 100% victory, and they are going to be recounting those votes because Peter Bear lost by less than 200 votes. And just a side note there, just a couple days ago, Helmut Fritz had a recount down in one part of the 3rd district, and there was a 100-vote shift away from Helmut, just in one little recount. And if there was that much of a mistake just in one little area of the 3rd district, they could find some major discrepancies in the voting, and Peter Bear shouldn't be ruled out yet.
Well, I think if it comes down to Peter Bear and Gunnarsson and you, I'll seriously consider voting for you.
Okay,
Because I think then a protest vote would be in order because when I used to be a Democrat years ago, Harvey Stoller was the kind of Democrat I used to support. Pro-life, pretty much pro-working man. Harvey Stoller was a big supporter of the parental consent bill.
Yeah.
It got through several years ago, so he is not your typical Democrat. He's a moderate to tend to be conservative. I frankly don't see at times where the difference between Gunnarsson and Harvey on political philosophy, except I think Harvey's more for the common person, looking at his donations you showed, and he's more pro-life.
Well, he does have more support amongst the people. Well, Steve gets a lot of money from individuals too, but he gets a lot. I mean, over 14 years of his being in federal government, plus several years down in Madison, working this district over and over, crisscrossing it, and then being in Washington 14 straight years, you meet a lot of the PAC money people, the money with the big wads of, the people with big wads of cash and checks in their pockets, and they like to spread it around. And basically,
so my advice to Harvey, who I will cross over and vote for as a conservative pro-life Republican, will be work La Crosse and Platteville areas, Grant County.
I wanted to ask you something now. You are a Republican. Are you
Yes.
you're a member of the local Republican
Yes.
Party, and you're actually urging other Republicans to switch over and vote.
Yes, I'm not on the executive board, so I'm not tied down to saying urging people to go vote for somebody else.
So you don't think that contradicts the flavor of the Republican Party?
No, because just because you're a member of a party doesn't mean you have to be an idiot in your voting patterns. You still need to pick the right person. Outside the primaries, you still have to pick the best candidate, Chuck.
Yeah. So you're going to actually cross over and abandon your Republican roots?
Yes, and I feel good about it in that race. I don't think Steve represents the majority of people in Eau Claire County. I think he represents some of the people with big money. I think some of the I think that Petrak was a good candidate. I wanted Fritz to win the Senate. I thought Petrak was acceptable. The reason why I don't like Jim Hellman particularly, and it's actually going to be tough to choose between him and Rod Bone, is Hellman's very representative of a lot of the legislatures when they're first elected. He's fairly young. He's 29. He has no kids. He's pro-choice. Yeah, if you take away his college education, 7 years of education, 4 undergraduate and 3 law school, he's only worked full-time about 3 years, Chuck.
Yeah. Well, I was down in Blair yesterday, and somebody was telling me that Hellman and Gunderson were handing out literature together down there, so he could be an ally of Gunderson. But he bought that race basically. He spent a lot of money on TV, and his family has money. They own, I guess, a liquor distributorship
They're a distributor, right?
in Sparta.
And he has a part-time law practice as well.
So basically, when you get into that TV advertising, you can leave your opponents in the dust. And that it showed you in the Brill race. Brill didn't spend any money on TV, but he still got 42% of the vote in Eau Claire County. Now, some light bulbs ought to go off.
And there's a lot of people that deep down, Republicans, would have voted for Don if they thought Don had a chance. I think if he had those votes in, I think 60% to 65% of the party in Eau Claire County are social conservatives. And they just don't want to see it.
Yeah.
Is it kind of hard to take? I mean, I know that's why you left the party.
Well, the whole party's moving to the left nationally, and there's pockets of resistance where the conservatives and Christians are trying to hold out, but basically it's a mopping up operation. The party was grabbed by the left after the defeat of '92, and they said, we got to move to the left or else. So that's what this big tent series is about, and I just didn't want to ride it to the left, so I got out.
I think if people like Gunderson are defeated, and people like, and the Republicans gain control of the Senate, I think things will be better, but it'll be tough. But I don't think anything's going to improve until Christ comes back.
Well,
I mean, that's the bottom line.
Don't hold your breath on watching what happens in America. Keep your eyes on Jerusalem and Israel, because America could collapse tomorrow. It wouldn't mean the end of the world.
No, it wouldn't.
It just means the end of another Roman Empire.
Take care, Chuck.
Okay, thanks for calling in. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Hello.
Hello.
Actually, who do you represent?
Who, me?
Yeah.
What do you mean by who do I represent?
Well, you're on the air, and what are you trying to put across?
This is the Cow Report. Have you ever watched it? Have you ever watched it?
Many times.
Yeah.
Never could find it, really what you were trying to represent, who you were backing, or what you're for.
Well, I put out a lot of conservative issues and try to get discussion on them, what I think are important issues, and we go from there. Like tonight, we're discussing politics. I mean, what does Rush Limbaugh stand for? What does the other guy?
Do you get paid for this?
No, this is all voluntary.
So this is just on our public TV, free from you, gratis from you, and you're supposed to enlighten us to what?
Now, actually, I pay public access to be on.
You do?
Yes.
How?
You pay a yearly membership, which gives you access to the studio that we're in right here, and it gives you access to equipment that you can check out once you learn how to use it, you learn how to do editing.
What does that cost you?
It's for an individual, I think now it's up to like $20 or $25 a year. For an organization like American Cancer Society or groups like that, it's I think it might be up to $60 now.
I haven't heard you talk anything about that. It's just your public Gunderson and so on and so forth. And are you being paid for that?
No, I'm not. As a matter of fact, you sound like you might. Are you a friend of Steve's?
I'm a friend of everyone, even you.
Okay, I want to show you something here, if I can find it. Here. I was in the Republican Party for about 22 years. Before that, I was kind of marginally a Democrat. But last month, I was attacked statewide in papers for my stands on some issues, and I was attacked by the leadership of the Republican Party in Madison, who was pointing out that the U.S. Taxpayers Party had picked the wrong candidates to represent them in the upcoming races. Well, almost to the day that those attacks came against me in the newspaper, I received this in the mail. And I know you can't read it too well, but what it says. It's a map of the state of Wisconsin. It says Republican Party of Wisconsin, 1994. William J. Campbell, citation for outstanding achievement in recognition of outstanding service to the Republican Party. This certificate is hereby and with honor presented to Charles Lee and is signed by David Opitz, Chairman of the State of Wisconsin Republican Party. I was getting this in the mail as the director of the Republican Party, and I think they're both in the same building,
And what was it in regards to?
was attacking me. Pardon?
And what was it in regards to?
For outstanding achievement. It was a citation.
Yourself, you mean?
Yes.
What did you achieve?
I was honored by the Republican Party of Wisconsin on one hand, and then I was being slapped on the wrist by another member.
What did you actually achieve for this tax?
Tax. It was an award
Award for what?
for achievement,
For what?
for helping the Republican Party in the state of Wisconsin and in the nation
To do what?
get Republicans elected.
What does that help us?
Well, I don't know. That's why I left the party, because the party's moving too far to the left for me, so I left it, even though they honored me as one of their outstanding achievers in the Republican Party in 1994.
Well, those are words, but what did they do? What did you achieve by being Republican on this certain party?
Well, you know, that's a question I've asked myself several times, and that's one of the reasons why I left the Republican Party, because they aren't the same party they were back in 1980. They were more conservative back then, and I know you can argue semantics about what conservative, liberal, and moderate means, but the Republican Party was more conservative, more pro-life.
Well, we can talk all about that, Chuck, but we have to know why and what was accomplished. Even if you got an award, what was the award for? Being on the party itself, or what did you accomplish being on that party?
Well, I don't know, probably for interviewing candidates on this show, for interviewing the governor, for helping Republicans get elected.
By interviewing them.
Pardon?
What did you gain by interviewing them?
Well, evidently we're just going to go in circles, so I'm going to say goodbye now, and thanks for calling in. It's a never-ending, it's going to be a never-ending quiz program there with that candidate.
Mr. Lee, you'll just have to ignore those callers. Every once in a while there's a whining socialist that thinks by calling up you and trying to beat up on you they're accomplishing something for somebody, but she's obviously a dingbat, so just ignore her.
Are you talking to me?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Let's go back to an intelligent caller. Scott called in. He's got some real good ideas concerning the congressional race.
By the way, caller, on our program we like to ask the guests questions about what happened on this date in history. So I'd like to ask you a question on September 20th was the date. That's tomorrow. And this is going to be a hard one. I don't know if you can...
Now, this is September 20th, which year?
1963.
63, okay.
And there was a president in office who proposed a joint American-Soviet manned expedition to the moon.
That would have to be JFK.
Well, there you have it. And for being the right, giving us the right answer tonight, you win this bumper sticker.
It says, I love animals, they're delicious. Yes, yes.
That's your bumper sticker for giving us the right answer tonight.
I love red meat.
So you'll have to give us your name off the air, and we'll
Good.
we'll ship that to you, COD.
Okay, well, again, let's go to an intelligent caller like Scott that called a few minutes ago. Forget that screwball liberal that just was on the phone with you.
Well, I don't know what exactly she was trying to get at, other than I was pointing out that although R.J. Johnson, director of the state party, was attacking me on one hand, I was literally had it in my hands in the mail, an award from the same party that was attacking me.
You should have asked her what her focus was supposed to be, not yours. She's lost. Forget her. Okay. But let's go back to Scott. He had some real interesting ideas about the congressional race.
Hey, you haven't seen Fred out there. What part of town are you in?
I'm on the southeast side.
You haven't seen Fred walking around in the days out there anymore.
Hey, no, I haven't.
He was just checking because I know he was rapidly driving through a driving rainstorm from Fall Creek to get here, and I've got about 20 till 10 now.
I think you better write him off for the night.
Yeah, maybe he's trying to be cute. He's home with his feet propped up talking to Betty or something.
Could be.
Betty, you better call in and let us know what happened to Fred.
I think Betty had her 40th birthday here the other day, didn't she?
Yeah, Betty, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, caller.
Okay, back to Scott, the intelligent caller. He brought up some interesting points, very good points about the pro-life Stour. However, although that's a very important issue to conservatives, we can't expect Stour to be a big spending liberal. How are we going to combat that? And we should tell Scott that the Republicans do control the Senate. I guess somebody hasn't told him yet.
On the state level.
State level.
Yeah.
That's what he was talking about, I assume.
It appears like they could have a route and control it on the national level here after the fall elections.
There's a likelihood. But, you know, how are we going to deal with the Stour if he's a big spender? That's going to rub a lot of conservatives the wrong way.
Well, I'll tell you, Steve Gunderson's a bigger spender than you think, too. We had a chance in Congress here back on March 17th of 1994 for a balanced budget amendment. That means you bring in $100, you can't spend more than $100. You got to keep the balanced budget, just like you do in a business if you're a businessman or a woman. Well, roll call vote number 62 on the balanced budget amendment, constitutional amendment by Joe Barton to mandate a balanced budget by the year 2000, while also limiting the growth of federal taxation by tying it to the growth in national income. That amendment failed, and Steve Gunderson voted against the balanced budget amendment. So from time to time, Steve likes to vote liberal too. But Harvey, from what I understand, likes to spend money. And so...
well, is somebody checking his voting record?
I'm sure that the Gunderson people are going over it with two fine-tooth combs.
Okay. Something to think about. Scott had some good points. Pro-life is important, but by golly, we don't need any more taxes. Another important issue.
You know, I've heard for years that people are single-issue voters, and the right to life, the pro-life people are willing to put in a socialist or a semi-socialist or a neo-socialist because he's pro-life. And what's going to guarantee you that he's not going to be a big spender? So you have to weigh all the different issues. And what can I say? It's going to be. That's why I'm saying that this thing's going to be a toss-up, and I don't know if Steve's going to come out on top.
Well, pro-life, no doubt, very, very important. But fiscally, the way he spends money is going to be important also to people. It's something that his voting record really should be thoroughly reviewed.
You know that?
We've got enough communists in Washington now.
I did. I didn't hear that. When did they get out there? When did that happen?
Well, anybody that's socialist or turning pink, we can either call them pinkos or communists.
Caller, don't forget your bumper sticker now.
Absolutely, I won't.
We'll get your name off the air there, and we'll give you that bumper sticker. I love animals. They're delicious.
Good. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I appreciate the call. Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Hey, Chuck, great show.
Well, thank you.
Yes, now, since you're running for office, I want to ask you a question about a current event today. See if maybe you could tell me what you might do in the situation, if anything. I don't know, did you get a chance today to catch the presidential news conference about Haiti?
Yeah.
You saw it in its entirety?
Probably not all of it, but I saw the highlights of it.
Okay. Well, the reason I asked that is if you saw it live or you saw a full rebroadcast of it, you might have picked this up. If you didn't see it live, if you saw it on NBC, CBS, one of the networks, this was excluded, and I haven't heard it talked about yet, and it's a little disturbing. It's in regards to President Carter. He made a long series of statements when confronted about the air attack was on its way, so on and so forth, and him and the delegation, he and the delegation had to go over to the presidential palace with the military leaders. Now, my question is this: we've been led to believe, not even led, we've just been told by the media that there's been a military dictatorship, a junta, strongmen, thugs, all kinds of terms like that have been used to describe this military leadership. Well, it turns out today that Jimmy Carter, he said that, in fact, he had been led to believe, and believed himself, that there was no, the 81-year-old president, and I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name, it starts with a J, it's like Johansson or Johannesson or something like that, that he was just a figurehead, that like he was just a puppet for these military guys. Well, it turns out that when the decision had to be made on what to do, the so-called figurehead, the 81-year-old president of Haiti, decided that the decision would be peace. He said he wanted peace and not war, and these weren't Carter's words. So Carter was a little surprised by that there wasn't a really, well, let's put it this way, the military dictatorship that was supposed to be leading the country got a little upset, and in fact, the Minister of Defense decided that he was going to resign, and he hollered this out at the president. I guess it was, it's all happened real quick, so it was a big, it was pretty upsetting. Okay, my question then is, the networks, the administration, and everyone else has led us to believe that there is a military dictatorship in control. This, as proven today by President Carter, isn't the fact. The facts were there was an 81-year-old president in charge of that country. What would you do? What would you say about this if you were a congressman? Would you would you get some time on the floor and bring this to light? I haven't heard anybody. I listened to the Rush Limbaugh show today, and he didn't cover it either. Maybe people missed this. If somebody has it recorded or wants to see it, it's there. I recorded it, and I listened to it 2 or 3 times.
Yeah. Okay. Well, in a lot of the countries down in South America, the military has played a major role in stabilizing a lot of these countries because of the factions on the far left and the far right, and most of the time it ends up being a conservative or right-wing dictatorship. But, we've kind of catered to that in America over the years, too. Our policy has been to keep those people in power because they tend to at least keep the discontent underneath the surface. Now, the president, the 81-year-old president, he is the civil government. Cedras is the head of the military.
Right.
Cedras was, at one time, he liked Aristide. As a matter of fact, some of the people in the government, in the legislature down there, have turned their back on Aristide, even though they're in the same party as him, because they say the guy is a nutcase. He's advocated necklacing. He's attacked America relentlessly on all kinds of different issues. He's for class warfare. He's a typical Marxist-Leninist. Just on the wires in the last few days, there's some leaks coming out of Washington now of wiretapping on Aristide's phone while he's been in the United States. And they're very disturbed with some of the remarks he's making, anti-American remarks he's making in his private conversations. So by no means is he going to go back in there and reinstitute democracy. He's going to do what he's going to do at the point of a gun with thousands of American soldiers backing him up to institute his reforms, which basically is going out into the countryside and throwing out mayors and government officials that he doesn't like and putting in his own leftists and Marxist-Leninists. And we're going to be the muscle. We're going to be the muscle men down there to help him colonize that country for the communists.
Well, once again, since the administration they obviously didn't feel it necessary to let us know that there was a president. I didn't even know until today that there was a president of Haiti. I thought Cedras was the leader, was the big military leader, and then Francois, and then whatever the guy with the B, I can't pronounce other names. But the administration led us to believe that these were the leaders, when in fact Jimmy Carter said he was led to believe and believed until the last moments that the military was running it. And no, the president of Haiti made the decision to sign that agreement, not the military. They objected. Like I said, one guy resigned.
Yeah.
So, you know, are you gonna tolerate this kind of? I hate to use the word cover-up. It's cliche and it's overused, but we've been misled. And I understand why. Clinton wants a victory of some sort. He obviously had every intention to go in there, sacrifice American blood for Haitian blood. If he was persuaded by the Black Caucus, you know, that's one theory out there, one way or the other.
Yeah.
But he was going in, and I don't think that the country would have, even 22% of the people would have got behind him if we would have been going after some frail 81-year-old seasoned citizen.
Well,
you know.
He's the president of the country, but he doesn't have the guns and.
But he made the decision.
Yeah.
If you listen to Carter, I mean, this isn't my conjecture.
Mm-hmm.
This is Jimmy Carter's testimony as to what happened. The president made the decision. Cedras said no. The minister of defense hollered out, "I resign tomorrow." Everybody in that room, every single person in that room objected, but they signed the agreement because the president of Haiti, the 81-year-old, said, "I want peace." So why would anybody think now that there was a military leadership? There wasn't running that country. There was a president. Let me, real quick, and I don't want to take up any more time.
I was going to say something to you is, if you notice, they said the planes were on the way with the troops.
Right.
Do you actually think that they were going to start a war in Haiti with Mr. Clinton, with Carter and the other two, Sam Nunn, and the other guy actually down there, right there in the hands of these so-called cutthroat dictators? I mean, it wouldn't take nothing for those guys to be held hostage if they actually started landing troops in Haiti. So think about it.
Well, they weren't.
That was a bluff on the part of Clinton. But I'll tell you, what's going to happen out of this is Clinton's ratings are finally going to go up now because war has been diverted. And
But not by him, by
Yeah.
Jimmy Carter.
yeah, it kind of, what it does is kind of helps Carter's image because of, the problems he had back in 1980 when Reagan came in there and said, "I'm going to get them people out of Iran. I'm not going to beat around the bush," where Carter basically beat around the bush and lost his re-election bid because of that.
Yeah, well, Jimmy Carter said he was going to do something about inflation. He did. He tripled it.
Yeah.
So.
So anyway, we've averted warfare and bloodshed. The whole thing is choreographed like some big drama in the first place, and there'll probably be a few Americans that are sniped and shot at and stuff, but by and large, there's not going to be anything now. Once again, we've invaded Haiti, and the United States is controlling Haiti now. That's the bottom line. We are in control of Haiti, and now it's going to be a matter of how long we occupy the country again. Last time we occupied for 19 years.
Right. Well, real quick, you know, I'm sure you're familiar with the Declaration of Independence. I'm not going to cite it, but it does have a section in it where basically it gives us, I know it doesn't give us any rights under a constitution, but it says that we should abolish a government, basically, if it gets nasty. It says it in a couple places.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we were to abolish our government because we weren't happy with it, and China came in, let's say we threw out Clinton, and China came in and said, no, Clinton was democratically elected. We have to restore him to power. And somehow China comes in here, Russia or whoever, restores Clintstone to power. How would you feel about that? That's exactly the way some of these Haitian people are feeling about us putting Aristide back in power. And I thank you for your time,
Yeah,
and I'll hang up and listen to your comment.
Fred, W.E.B. Du Bois Stafford is back. Where you been? You aren't even wet. I thought you were driving through a hailstorm out of
Incidentally,
Southern Fall Creek somewhere.
as you and I both know, that Mr. Aristide is a defrocked priest. He was expelled from the Salesian Order
Exactly what does that mean? Where did he lose his...
because he refused to stop promoting class warfare there, including necklacing of his enemies.
Fred, by no means have we replaced the dictatorship down there with a democracy.
No, they
We
don't
might,
know the first thing
we
about
might
democracy.
have replaced it with a socialist People's Republic or something down there, but by no means will it be a democracy. It'll be another dictatorship with American muscle behind it. So I'm glad to see you showed up, Fred. Where you been?
Been in the big city of Fall Creek.
That's what I thought. I had Betty go out looking for you. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, I have a couple questions. One is, okay, why are we actually paying for welfare when people should be able to get, like, birth control free? I mean, because
Yeah?
I would feel better if somebody was paying for birth control than, my kids or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, not everybody's going to take birth control, so you're always going to have kids. Even
Well,
the Bible said 2,000 years ago that the poor would always be with us. We're always going to have poverty. You look anywhere in the world, and poverty is there. Even in the richest country in the world, we have poverty. And not everyone's going to take birth control because of religious reasons or because they just don't believe in it.
yeah, but they should let people that want to use it, and, have
Who's
it.
being stopped? In which country, though? Where are you talking about?
Well, I mean, here in Wisconsin, I mean, if we wanted to use it, we still have to pay for it. I mean, I'd rather have somebody pay for me getting birth control than somebody paying for me to have kids.
Well, that's a personal choice, and we can't pay for everything out there, and that's something that you have to buy, and you don't want me, if I don't agree with you taking it, you don't want me to have to pay for your wanting to take it, or vice versa.
Well, would you rather have would you rather pay for somebody to not have kids than have kids?
Well, I think we're
I mean, you'd
paying,
be spending more money if we would have kids.
I'll tell you, we've been spending billions of dollars on the Great Society since the 60s, and we've got more poverty today than we had in 1964 when the Great Society started.
If you don't want kids, there's one simple answer to that. You can refrain from having sex, because sex is for the reproduction of the human race, or you can use natural family planning.
Yeah, and we've seen where that's got the Catholics, Fred. There's 1 billion of them.
Well,
It's not as easy as you think it is,
Yeah.
well, I speak from experience. It works.
Yeah, I bet so.
There you have it, coming from Fred, the true Stafford. Well, I'm glad to see, Fred, that you made it to tonight's program.
Well, I tell you.
I've already given away 1 bottle of Flavin' Pop and 1 bumper sticker because you weren't here to keep your 1,000 percentage going, so now we're going to have to take a call. You're on the air there, caller.
Yeah, are you against welfare?
Me or Fred?
Either one.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm against certain parts of welfare. Now, like we were just talking about earlier, we're always going to have the poor with us. And in the past, the church and private individuals and groups took care of poverty in this country. But then all of a sudden we said, government is going to be mommy and daddy, big brother, and they're going to take care of everything. So we started having all these ABC programs back in the 30s, and then we got the Great Society in the 60s, and we've got more welfare and more poor people in this country now than ever before in the history of this country. So we need to start going back the other way, back to private help from churches, private contributions, and not rely so much on government, because government doesn't seem to solve any problems, Fred.
Oh, I know of people who have told me that, if they didn't get paid $10 an hour, they weren't going to go to work, and they weren't worth $2 an hour.
But I'm not against
No skill.
I'm not against welfare for the needy, and we are going to have needy in this country.
The needy need it.
We're going to have handicapped. We're going to have people that need food stamps, and one of my issues in the campaign is to tighten up the food stamp program and make it a electronic, like a credit card system, where you have a bank account for food purchases only. And so that you can't be using those food stamps for the underground economy. And there's some massive fraud going on in the food stamp program. So to switch it over to a cashless program will save millions for the needy, and it will also weed out the ones that are just cheating in that program.
So you're not against it?
I'm not against welfare for the needy.
Okay.
And that's one of the reasons government was set up, is to help the needy.
Yeah.
But not all of the needy, and the churches were by far, back when government was set up, the churches were by far the ones that helped individuals that were needy. And of course, the way society is now, we send mom and dad and grandma and grandpa right to the nursing homes and let the government take care of them. And we don't do like we used to do when grandma and grandpa stayed right in the house until they died. So things have changed in this country, and we need to start going back more to individual help for other individuals that are needy and not rely so much on government, because that just tends to set up giant bureaucracies that never seem to solve the problem.
And they get a good portion of the money that should be going to the poor.
Yep, they end up being the middlemen. Thousands and millions of social workers and paper shufflers and check writers and investigators and all that stuff get in the middle so that the money doesn't go directly to the needy like it should. But we're out of time here, and this is the Cow Report. We want to thank you for tuning in tonight, and we'll see you again right here next week on this program, I think 2 in the afternoon. So thank you for tuning in, and now you can go to Channel 13 News.
Got the Conservative Corner at 8 o'clock on Friday night.
There you have it. Thanks a lot. We'll see you again. Good evening.
Ever